how are our soldiers treated when they come home? Do we show them the appreciation for the sacrifices they have made for our country, unlike the neglect given to the Vietnam veterans, as we just heard, when they return? How are they adjusting to civilian life again? Is the war in Iraq worth fighting? And what about Afghanistan? The answer to these questions comes from our next guest, Dimon Mullins, who just came back from Iraq, and he's going to tell us what his experience was like. Thank you for coming to the program. You heard everything that was said in the previous segment with the 4 veterans from previous wars. What is your immediate reaction to everything you heard?
I mean, firstly, I have to say, it was very difficult for me to listen to a lot of it, and mainly because of different views about war and the Gulf War and the Vietnam War. There are a lot of similarities, but there are a lot of differences as well. The first thing I have to say, I mean, this war was started on the false pretenses.
Correct.
So everything after that initial lie is just wrong, just blatantly wrong. And so, this war wasn't started as a religious war. The Sunnis and the Shia have coexisted with one another in this nation, not peaceably. But Saddam had to force his hand to cause these people to be able to coexist in this region, and he did so successfully. So you have to ask yourself how now all of a sudden did it just flare up into violence? Why is there sectarian violence in this country? It's not just because people see an opportunity to kill one another. The U.S., we have flared up this violence. So it's not a religious war between the Sunni and the Shia. This is us causing this violence to happen between those two groups.
Tell me about your own personal experience there. What did you see?
I was an infantryman. I was a grunt. I actually enlisted in the Army National Guard in the year 2000, but I was activated as a Army infantryman in 2004. So from September 2004 to September 2005, I fought in the Baghdad region.
So when you enlisted at first, you never thought you were going to go abroad?
No, when I enlisted at first, I was in the Army National Guard. I enlisted for college benefits. I didn't even enlist as an infantryman. I enlisted as an armor crewman, which is individual who works on a combat tank. Our main battle tank is the M1A2. I learned how to operate this tank. And when my unit was to be deployed to Iraq, they needed more infantrymen. They didn't need armor crewmen, so they changed the MOS, the military occupational specialty, of my whole outfit.
And your whole outfit was all National Guardsmen?
Yeah.
Wow. So you get there and you figure, well, we're guardsmen, we're going to come home soon, but you were treated just the same as everybody else.
I mean, there's no distinction between National Guard and active duty Army when you're there. It's just, I was attached to the 1st Cav the only distinction is that, if anything, Army National Guard units are kind of volleyed from one unit to the next. When I was there, when I was first sent to Baghdad, my unit was attached to the 1st Cav. But the 1st Cav was at the end of their tour, so we spent maybe 2 months with them. When they left, we were part of the 10th Mountain. The 10th Mountain moved on. Next thing you know, we were part of, I think it was like 3rd ID.
So everybody kept leaving, but you kept staying?
Yeah, and so the standard operation procedures, they continue to change because we continue to get new leadership. But that's about the only thing that's different with the National Guard than with the...
Tell me about some of the things you saw there. I mean, are the people supporting, do they like Americans being there? Did they not like it? Did they appreciate what you were doing? Did they not? Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, I think that if people in mainstream American media would just be honest about the Iraqis and how the Iraqis feel about the American occupation of their land, I mean, they would say that it's very difficult to speculate on how Iraqis feel. I mean, but in one sense, you can say, all right, Americans, we're killing, I mean, hundreds of Iraqis a day. We don't report how many Iraqis we're killing. We don't report how many casualties there are of, just Iraqi local nationals, right?
Men, women, and children.
Yeah, it doesn't, I mean, people get run over by tanks. Not even just that, it's not even just direct violence. People, I mean, it's not even just civilians being shot by Americans. It's, an older Iraqi gentleman, he has diabetes. He can't get his medication. He dies. These are indirect deaths, but they're collateral damage, but it's still happening to the country because of this occupation. So, I mean, so it's hard for American media to say, I mean, New York Times published an article a couple of months ago. It was right before the summer started. And it was saying how Iraqis are saying they need Americans to stay, or, you know, the sectarian violence will break out and go crazy. But if you go to a lot of those towns and you talk to the people who live in those towns, I mean, a lot of them are saying Americans go home because we're killing so many people every day by accident and on purpose.
Are some of them worried that if you go home, things might get worse?
Yeah.
Some of them are. So
yeah, some of them are worried that, yeah, if we go home, you know, the violence is just gonna, you know, consume the whole country. But I mean, this is the same rhetoric that we heard during the Vietnam War. They were saying, oh, if we pull out of Vietnam, the communists are just gonna go crazy. They're gonna take over everything, right? But did they? So, I mean, we're gonna constantly hear this rhetoric from our administration. We're constantly going to hear this rhetoric from, you know, people who in this country who are in power, who have it on their agenda to continue this war, to make perpetual war, because, you know, it benefits them in some way. So
one thing that we were led to believe during the beginning of this conflict was that Americans would be given ticker tape parades when they finally won this war. That hasn't happened. You don't see that overwhelming gratitude, do you?
No, you don't see overwhelming gratitude. I mean, mainly because, all right, the Persian Gulf War, Desert Storm, Desert Shield was one of the most successful military operations that America has ever run. It was just clean, it was quick, it was, you know, they just got in and they got out, right? Mm-hmm. So Americans, you know, relatively happy about that because it was quick. It didn't cost a lot of American lives, right? Americans, we have this ideology that we subscribe to where we just want to win, right? But I mean, first of all, even if we got into Iraq and we got right back out, still the war was started under false pretenses. I cannot go and I cannot start something on a lie and say, okay, you know, I'm going into this game because I want to fight. I want to bring down Saddam because he has weapons of mass destruction, right? And then you go in there and then you change your objective, like, oh wait, no, now we're going to create democracy in this area because, you know, they need democracy because Saddam is a despot, right? So that's like kind of playing baseball. Your goal in baseball is to hit a home run, to get, you know, come back and, you know, touch the base, right? But then all of a sudden you get on the baseball diamond and then you want to play football because you realize, like, oh, wait a second, this is not what, you know, this is not working out for me. And so this is how the administration treats it. And then so therefore Americans are not, a lot of people in the anti-war movement in America now are saying, oh, you know, we have a viable anti-war movement. Now, we don't have an anti-war movement here in America. And the reason why is because Americans are thinking about winning. And because we're not winning in Iraq, a lot of the Americans are not supporting the war, just like Vietnam, right? But if you look at the Persian Gulf, if you look at Desert Storm, Desert Shield, we shouldn't have been there either. But because it was quick, it was fast, there was no anti-war movement. Most Americans approved of it, right? Mm-hmm. And the same thing with Iraq. Even though this war was started under false pretenses, even though it was completely based on a lie, the only reason that so many Americans object to it is because we've been there so long and we're wasting American lives and we're wasting American money. Mm-hmm. That's what we care about. There's no viable anti-war movement. There's just people saying, look, bring the troops home because we're not winning. But if we were,
well, just like, we've got to take a break, we'll be right back, but just like we heard that there were weapons of mass destruction, now they're telling us we got to stay there because Al-Qaeda is there. And when we come back, I want our guests to tell us about that. We'll be